Okay, so last time we left off with Andrew and Greg Adams dueling ideologies, with Coach Adams trying to talk sense and Andrew Wilson just trying to mock him as much as humanly possible, feigning humor and ignorance in equal measure. So this is where we left off last time, so let's get back to it.
Here's the problem you're having.
2,000 years ago, they were chopping heads off. Who gives a shit?
Listen,
what does that
you
do with
said
anything?
2,000 years ago. I'm coming up with yours. You're wholly religious. 2,000 years ago, it's been a part of
What
the
does that
institution.
have to do with this?
Exactly. Here's the problem. You're cherry picking.
Cherry picking what?
Listen.
I'm listening.
I'm going to slow you down. I'm going to
Slow
slow
me
you
way
down
down.
because I see what you're doing here. I'm going to slow you down.
Okay.
Because it's hard for you to keep up.
It is. You're
I
right.
understand.
I
I
am-
understand because you
I
haven't
am
been across. This is your
bedazzled.
toughest debate. Your audience knows this.
Oh, it's rough.
There's no God in marriage
Okay.
in the United States.
Yeah.
Can we agree to that? When you get to divorce, there's no God in
we
marriage.
can't agree to that.
Why can't he agree to that? But it's true. There's no God in marriage in the United States when it comes to the whims, the preferences, the desires, the incentives that women have to get divorced. Now, he's going to argue, of course, I think what he's trying to say, why he's saying there's no God in marriage, is because, well, marriage is all about God. It's a sacrament. It's a religious sacrament. It comes from God. Even were that true, it's not administered by the church. It's administered by the state. And by the way, even if you were to get married in a religious ceremony or any kind of ceremony, but you didn't have a license from the state, a woman can go to the state and say, hey, look, we had this ceremony, so technically we're married. I want half his stuff, and she would get it. So, honestly speaking, there's no God in marriage when it comes to the consequences of the marriage, when it comes to the outcome, as it were, when it comes to the most likely outcome, which is a divorce. What women are incentivized to do. What are they incentivized to do? Stay married? No. They get rewarded for divorcing.
Need to agree to it because when you go into divorce court, there's no God.
Yeah,
you can't bring in your God and your Bible. And at that particular point, none of your ecclesiastics marriage works.
Okay.
Period.
So the thing is, you just said, can we agree that there's no God in marriage? And then he switched.
You don't have to agree.
But hang on. Calm down. And then he switched over to
He seems calm to me.
divorce. There's no God in divorce. But those are two different questions and
But they're both part of the same institution. What Andrew's trying to do here, what he thinks is a clever little trick, is put divorce and marriage into two totally separate categories, but one is a consequence of the other. Oh, I'm not a consequentialist. But you are, really. Because you try to argue that even if you don't believe in a God, is the outcomes of religious marriage and Christianity and Christian ethics better outcomes than secularists' ideas and policies. Oh, you mean consequences when you say outcomes. But divorce and marriage, I mean, divorce isn't a part of marriage. It's not an outcome that can occur. If you get married, can't you get divorced? I mean, that's like trying to separate the jumping out of a plane and the hitting the ground into two different categories. I mean, I guess technically they're different things, but one is a consequence, a possible consequence for sure, of the other. Oh, unless you have well, Andrew might say, well, if you have a parachute, the consequence of whacking that ground, no, so that don't happen, so totally different. What if the parachute don't open 50% of the time? Oh, well, yeah. But really, this is stupid to try and separate the two in that manner. Anyway, let's continue.
hang on, relax. The second thing is that me saying
He seems relaxed.
that what made marriage a great institution is this whole Sky Daddy character, and that the institution.
No, where's the evidence for that? What do you mean Sky Daddy character? What are you talking about? Do you have any evidence that some godlike figure, some fairy sky man in the sky reached down and made Adam and Eve, made man from clay, and then made the man and then had them married, and he married them and he created marriage. You have no evidence for any of this. What do you mean? By the way, who's getting married? And who's administering the marriages? And under whose interpretation of so-called church doctrine is this occurring? Man. It's man. It's man that's doing the administration. It's man that is the authority. It is man that is the arbiter. It's man that's doing these things. What God? This is all under man's purview, not God. Oh, but it's the word of God. Proof of that? No. Hey, I got proof, yo. I got proof. I got anecdotes out the yin-yang. I got eyewitness testimony on paper, in some books, on some Dead Sea Scrolls and some other scrolls, and in some writings that are a couple thousand years old. So no chain of custody, no evidence that any of this words on paper is true except, proclamation. Interesting and convenient. Oh, I mean, by that logic, Harry Potter's real. If I proclaim it, it's on paper.
Has been
Oh, this is so silly.
in place for 2,000 years, and it's been. Hang on.
He made the argument. I am the prognosticator of all prognosticators, people. You do know this. I just called it. I've never watched this debate, by the way. I'm seeing this, hearing this for the first time. Also, why is this guy so easy to predict what he's going to say?
Hang on, calm down.
2,000
And it's
years.
been
Stop. So he's telling him to calm down, implying that he's being irrational. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Interesting tactic, Andrew.
a strong institution. I'm not actually sure how tying in that at the time they cut people's heads off, what that has to do with the fact that in the 1950s and 40s, you still had 95% of these marriages staying together.
It wasn't 95%. That's not true. That's nonsense. The marriage rate was not that high. The divorce rate was not as low as 5%, okay? It was much lower, but not 5%, okay? Maybe at an earlier time when they were chopping off the heads or, stoning women for adultery. But what Coach Greg Adams is trying to say, using an extreme example, and you could call it hyperbolic, even though these things did actually happen, but quite some time ago. Not all that long ago, actually. I think that I think one of the last incidences of stoning an adulterous woman was in the 1690s, and you could say, well, that's a long time. Yeah, but it ain't thousands of years. It's a few hundred years, okay? A while, but still not all that long ago in the grand scheme of things. But what he's trying to say is that you're trying to separate out the irrationalities, the irrational, the superstitious, the anti-reason aspects of religion from the parts that actually work and make sense. But you can't do that. They're all one big holistic package. It all comes together. You can't cherry pick out the rational, reasonable, this works, that don't. You have to take it as a whole. So when you decide to try and incorporate these ideas societally, you're also bringing in all of the mystical, superstitious mumbo-jumbo baggage that created so many extreme issues in the past, like the chopping off of the heads. So what Coach Greg Adams is trying to do is, by using an extreme example, tell you that you're trying to do something that can't be done, and that is separate the illogic and mysticism from the logical, reasonable aspects. You can't. It's all one big, giant package.
This is not ancient history. This is not even early American history.
Women were stoned for adultery as early as the 1690s, so it's not that ancient, pal.
Hang on, that's in your grandfather's lifetime, basically. And this, by the way, that was the case for black marriages as well. Very strong institutions. Correct. But all of those institutions were that way because they followed that whole Sky Daddy thing.
No. This is another argument. This is a correlation equals causation BS. Well, Moors peoples was religious back then, and at the same time as the religiousnesses, people were married Moors. So you're just saying that. Oh my God, because there's a correlation, you are equating that. Yeah, you're saying that's equal to a cause. You can't do that. You don't have any evidence. Where's your evidence that because people were more religious or that they were going to church more, that's why they were staying together? I mean, you're just doing a correlation equals causation argument. You're also doing kind of a post hoc, in a sense, like after this, because of this. So now, after religion became less prevalent, people are getting divorced more. So because after this, so because this came before, meaning what came before was religion diminishing. That's the cause of the greater divorce rates. What? These are a whole bunch of logical fallacies, by the way, which he will point out gleefully when others perform them. But he's obviously performing them himself. Post hoc, correlatory fallacy. Oh, crickets. That's because too many people that debate don't actually understand how logic works. He has some idea, but not enough of an idea not to commit these very same fallacies himself. Anyway, let's continue.
Correct. They were like, "Oh, that Sky Daddy's going to smite us if we don't." And so what you do here...
No, come on now. How long... Well, first of all, Christianity has repent and you go to heaven thing. So you repent, you're in. This is an institution that used to sell indulgences if you wanted to sin and if you had the money to afford to buy yourself out of that sin. So let's be honest here. How many people thought they were going to get smited or suffer consequences in the afterlife if they just repented? They could repent. That mechanism was there. It's built in. It's cooked into the ideology, the religion. So give me a break. How many people believe they were going to get smited if they divorced? Come on. It was the social stigma. Social pressures which don't require religion to be implemented. How do we know that? Because we have the opposite being implemented. Because we have social pressure and other stigmas and stigma being introduced, just opposing Christian ethics and ideology, but not from Christianity. So we know that you can implement social pressures to achieve a desired goal, a desired worldview, a desired view of what is moral, what is not without religion. So what do we need Sky Daddy for? Apparently we don't.
Is you're giving the classic progressive argument, which is, well, guys, it is true that it's a great institution, and it is true it's the best place in the world to have children.
I don't agree. Great institution. By whose metric? Again, you're doing a correlatory causation fallacy. Blah, 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 blah. But anyway.
For the continuation of the species. And also, it's fantastic for men's health. It's fantastic for their mental.
So, the reason people ain't having kids isn't because of less religion, okay? It's because they don't want to sacrifice the decadent lifestyles that they have achieved. Look, people are also, because there has been such a division of labor and such an increase in hobbies, in available pastimes, in pursuits that you can pursue and substitute to give your life meaning in place of kids and family. That's part of what has reduced people having children, not to mention the fact that people don't want to sacrifice their materialistic world, their materialistic lifestyles. I want to still be able to go on 4 vacations a year. I want to have my new iPhone every 6 months. I want to have a new car every 2 years. I want to be able to afford all my doodads and buy whatever I want. I want to be a double income, no kids household. And I don't want to sacrifice all that. If I have kids, I won't be able to get my iPhone, and I won't be able to go on 2 vacations a year, and I won't be able to get my PS whatever and my new computer whatever, and I might only be able to buy a new car every 4 years. And oh my God, how much I'll have to sacrifice. We won't be able to go out on dates and date nights and meals out. It's a misallocation of values. It's a lack of education. It's a miseducation. People are not being educated on what really matters, what truly brings meaning to life. It's not about religion. You say, well, that's what religion used to teach us, the people. Well, we already know you can teach the opposite without religion. Why do you think we can't teach these values without religion? Why is it that you can teach immorality and you can teach degeneracy, and you can teach relativism, and subjectivism, solipsism, idealism, but you can't teach morality and ethics without religion? I'm confused. Why not? Why not?
Mental health, it's great for him in almost every way, but that divorce thing is real bad, and I counter. You're right, that divorce thing is real bad. We have
Right, and can't that only happen if you get married? Just like if you don't have to worry about hitting the ground unless you jump out of a plane. So, I mean, yeah, marriage and divorce are kind of closely connected, just like jumping out of a plane and smacking the ground and dying. Pretty closely connected. One can't happen without the other. It's a chain of events. That would be consequentialist. I'm not a consequentialist, even though I argue consequentialism plenty when it's in my favor. Yeah, okay, pal.
now a center of agreement. But now we're going back to the marriage in the West thing, which is that whole great institution problem. Well, if we agree that what made it good, which you just did, is, hey, that Sky Daddy guy, and then I point out that right now you can still utilize that Sky Daddy guy for an ecclesiastical...
So he's arguing utilitarianism. Well, even if you don't believe in a God, you can at the very least pretend you do and, choose to opt into Pascal's wager and, because the consequence thing, where if you do follow Christianity, it will result in better consequences for you, even if you don't believe in it.
marriage outside of the state. Hang on. And the only thing you could do is say, what about common law? But you can't govern anybody from common law. And at least in the ecclesiastical institution, you have social pressures on women to...
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. What are you talking about?
Stay married. You can't offer a man anything like that. Give me a single social pressure you can offer that would actually keep these marriages together. One. What?
Well, the marriages don't stay together because the women have the option to opt out, and you're a dinky little social pressure of a church that basically controls a medium that has very little, if any, power in regards to applying social pressure anymore when compared to the alternatives that the state controls and that big corporations control and academia controls and the church doesn't. I mean, what exactly are the social pressures that the church can apply that can beat out social media, mainstream media, government, academia, none of which are controlled by the church? Can you tell me that? And can you tell me how the church is going to counter the social pressures from all of these other institutions and from the money printers who control everything that I just named? Are you going to tell me how the church can counter that? Are you also going to tell me how the church can counter the actual monetary incentives that exist within the current governmental system, which the church has no say-so over? Oh, no, you can't offer me any counters to any of those things. So what the hell are you talking about?
What? Just one.
Can I answer something
Yeah.
you just said? This would be interesting.
I can't wait.
You said
but can you answer that question then ask?
No, before.
Oh, of
the
course.
1940s.
Of course, you gotta ask me a question.
Because
before you
listen,
answer
I'm
mine.
listening. I'm listening.
No, Andrew, he's answering what you said. Okay, you're doing a destiny now. You're just talking uninterrupted, throwing out a lot of crap, and now you're telling us, you're implying that he can't answer the question because he's trying to answer something you said earlier in your long diatribe there. One could call it almost a gish gallop, except you just don't have the talking speed of a meth head. But otherwise, you're trying to imply that you can't answer my question. Can he not address something you said earlier, 2 minutes ago, before he answers that question? He's not allowed to address what you said, essentially? No, because you have to answer the question I just asked and ignore everything I said before. You're not allowed to address anything I said unless it's in question form. Oh, my God. Oh, who follows this guy? Pinheads?
To you. You asked the question at the end. If you would have asked it at the beginning, possibly I might have been able to address it. But let me address this point.
Okay.
You said the 1940s and 1950s with this imaginary Sky Daddy controlling marriages. That sounds like enforcement, because by the time the 1970s came around, the very first chance women got to file a no-fault divorce without need for evidence without need to have a private investigator to prove an affair.
Was no fault the 70s?
Yes, it was the 70s, started by Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
I'll educate you.
But hang on.
Came along. Hold on for a second. No.
Yeah.
I got the
Go
floor
ahead.
here. I got the floor. So you said the religious
Yeah, Andrew, you just went on a long diatribe there. Can he not respond?
institutions governed it and made it great. The 1970s.
Did that start in the late 1970s under Reagan? Was he the governor in California, and it started in California, and then when he became president, it went countrywide, I think? I'm not sure on that.
Came along, and as soon as they did,
Feminism.
women start to file divorces at record.
Yeah, effinism. You're making his point for him, dude. All your religion stuff is totally, completely irrelevant if it can't change anything. You're talking about this religious solution as if it was an actual solution. If you let's say for the sake of argument it were, if you could implement it. He's talking as if it's already implemented. He's talking from an end stage point of view. How I keep asking this. How? It's not a prescription if you can't tell me how you're going to do it. And he can't. He just says, well, ideally, idealism. Ideally, if this was the case, all these problems would be solved. Not telling us how that would be the case either. Oh, well, how would we implement it, though? How are we going to replace state-run, state-mandated, state policies, federal policies? How are we going to put that into the hands of the church and take it away from the state? He has no answer.
Rates, which is back to my conversation. Soon as you remove the authority of Sky Daddy, now you're back with the state. And now you have...
Well, we just need to have Sky Daddy's authority again. How?
difficulty, and now the risk is now greater.
Oh.
So that's the issue that
Then
you
it
have.
sounds like men should be moving towards Sky Daddy then, because it mitigates their risk.
Right, you think that this is the interesting thing. This is him pandering to his audience. Do you really think that men are going to change anything? Because the men follow the women. I don't understand. He seems to dude, trying to get men to come together and act in a cooperative way is like trying to herd a herd of cats. Good luck. We are designed to compete against one another on a biological level, evolutionarily speaking. You can't get us to come together for much of anything. That's how you control the men. Through the women. Through the women. It's not the men, it's the women, yo. Don't you get it? They're the collectivists. They're the ones who are biologically cued to follow the crowd, to go along, to get along, to follow whatever they perceive to be the populace, the ad populum, whoever is the loudest voice, and whatever message is being heard the most, trumpeted the most, seen the most. Well, that's the authority. That's the majority, and so I'll follow that. That's not men. That's not how we work. What are you talking about? Oh, it always seems like men. It seems almost like men should. Do you really think you're going to get men together and get them to collectivize to a point where, like women, we affect some kind of social and interim political change, especially when now the existing paradigm is every person in government. There might be like 2 to 5% of, and I think that's being generous, of politicians who aren't bought and paid for. Who aren't bought and paid for, who don't owe the money printers favors, who are not beholden to the powers that be. How are you going to get them to do what you want? Oh, the vote. The women are the majority. You can't affect any change until you get the majority to go along, to vote, to change these kind of things. Women ain't going to do that. Are women going to vote to disenfranchise themselves, to give away their power and their privileges? No. And a lot of the guys aren't going to vote for that stuff either because they don't want to upset their woman. They want to seem like good, virtuous, to the women anyway, beta box deluxe simp dudes. blue pill beta male mangina, so they're not going to vote your way either. How many men are you actually going to get together to vote this stuff away? Not enough. You're not going to get 51% of the population, that's for sure, and that's not how our voting system works anyway. So, good luck. It doesn't even work that way. We don't live in a democracy. You're not going to get some kind of, law or amendment put forward, and then the entire population votes, and of the entire country. No, that's not how it works. Bills, laws, amendments, they get put forward by congressmen, senators, that kind of thing, and then your representative, who's bought and paid for, not by you, but by the powers that be and by a bunch of welfare-getting grubs, they vote in those people's interests and the interests of the people that put them into office. Not Andrew Wilson, not men. So Andrew's prescription of, we just need to get the majority of menses, that wouldn't even work, because there's more women. And they're the ones that are the most collectivist, not men. So the idea that you can even get enough men together to vote in a way that would push what Andrew Wilson is advocating for is nonsensical.
Courts. The nation should be
There's
moving
no
towards
courts.
that. But how do you enforce that?
What court? What court? You're not getting a marriage from the state. What courts are involved here?
How are you going to implement that, Andrew? Do you know what kind of a massive shift that would be? How are you going to implement that? I don't know. I'm just going to argue for it as if it's possible. In the current paradigm. But it's not. My argument just showed that clearly.
You told me is a make-believe scenario.
How?
Yeah.
You can
You're
do it
telling
right
me-
now. How is it make-believe?
What do you mean, I just told you. Where? You don't even have the votes, man. You don't even have the votes. Oh, well, we've got enough trans women out there. Are women going to vote to take away their own vote? No. Are women going to vote away no-fault divorce? No. Are women going to vote away the Duluth model of domestic violence? No. Are women going to vote away all of the affirmative action and the quotas and all the benefits and all of the biases that exist within the courts? No, you couldn't even do that because a lot of these things are imposed by ideological norms. Views that are based upon ideology that has been ingrained from, social media, academia, the government, lots of presuppositions that say that men are automatically given a foot forward in the world and women are oppressed, which creates an automatic underlying resentment in all women against all men, and the feminism and the ideological underpinnings of feminism and the education that they get that what feminism says is true in education, in academia, from social media, leads people to have these biases in every aspect of their lives, both personal and professional. How are you going to change that? We are just going to get control of all the mediums of propaganda. All you've got is 2 hours in a little building with a cross on the top once a week. That's all you got. It ain't enough. It ain't enough. The behemoth you're fighting, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, X now, TikTok, good luck. The government? Feminism is being taught in all academia, every single university in the Western world, both public and private, the entire education system from K1 to grade 12. What do you got? My sky daddy that says you're gonna suffer punishment in a world that we don't exist in right now. So it's kind of abstract, isn't it? As compared to actual reality. Come on, man. Get real.
How do you do that when people, the
Here's what
marriages through state?
yeah.
I know, you want to go
I'll
back
tell
to
you how.
Ecclesiastics.
He's not going to tell us how. He's just going to do more of the same. I want to hear a how.
This
No,
is
I'm
going to be
telling
a
you, you
problem.
can do it right
Okay.
this second.
Okay,
You
can
could go do it right now.
You can do it at this particular
can't
point.
do.
He can do it as a thought experiment. I want to hear the how. I'm so anxious to hear the how.
However,
What do you mean?
here's the problem.
Okay.
Can you get men to do it?
Yes.
Okay, you
No.
might be able to
No.
think you can get men to do it, but as soon as they do it, I want you to stick around for the average of 8 to 10 years when these men start getting divorced. See, what you're doing is you're leading
8.7 in America.
We've been
Hold on
watching
for a
it for
second.
longer.
You're going to lead men into a burning building.
Oh.
And the reason why,
Uh-huh.
and this is a famous quote by Martin Luther King, is because the laws of integration didn't catch up fast enough for what he wanted for people to integrate. And what happened was it took him 12 to 15 years to realize that he led men or black people into a burning building in which integration was not possible at the time.
Okay.
You are also proposing the same thing. And I would like for you to
How?
stick around.
Yeah, but at the very least, the laws actually did change. You know, the state did actually change these things. The state's not going to change these laws. The people that vote them into office, woman, don't want them changed. So they're going to pander to the woman. They're going to pander to the low IQ simp beta orbiters that follow these women and put themselves in these women's orbit and the friend zone. They're going to follow the vote of the illegal alien who, believe it or not, does in many cases vote, and their kids certainly get to, and they're all a bunch of welfare baby anchor babies, and so they vote for more welfare because the very nature of their existence in this country is that of a second-class citizen, slave labor in many cases. So they needs that welfare's cheddar, so they vote for the state, to enlarge the state, to give the state more power. And the people that vote these people in the office want this stuff, and the powers that be who print the money, through various means, put that money into their pocket to push an agenda. And that agenda ain't this agenda. So good luck.
Around to see the results of what you're proposing, because eventually you would have to pay the price. How did Martin Luther King pay the price? You would have to pay the price for the men that you misled.
Yeah, Andrew ain't ready for that. And by the way, he has no prescription as to the how of implementing this. So it's all just thought exercise anyway.
So Martin Luther misled men, and that's why he was killed?
I said he misled black people. You missed that part.
Those
He said,
right,
okay, let me repeat it, because you're slow.
I
All right,
know.
you
He is
definitely
slow.
are slow, Neanderthal.
That's for sure.
Let me tell you something.
I love it. I'm liking this guy.
I'm dragging
Martin
Knuckles
Luther
over here.
King said specifically,
Yeah.
related to black people and civil rights,
Yeah.
I'll speak slowly for you,
Yeah.
that he believed at the end, he led them into a burning building. I'm going to speak slower. The
Okay.
reason why is because the laws of integration
Yeah.
didn't.
Andrew does seem awfully thick. I already got his argument the first time. How is Andrew not getting this? Is it because he's not smoking? I think it's because he's not smoking. He doesn't have the usual nicotine high that he has during debate. He needs that drug, yo.
not catch up with what he would like to present. Black people weren't ready to integrate. As a result, he said, I may have led my people. My people, that means his people.
As an aside, I don't think integration was a good idea. Anyway, look what it's gotten us. But anyway, let's continue.
Into a burning building.
Okay.
I would like for you, under your scenario, if your movement takes off,
Yeah.
to see the results, because it took Martin Luther King 12, 15 years to see the
Okay.
results
I understand
of
now.
his efforts.
Yeah.
You're proposing something very extreme that majority of people aren't going to do. But let's just say because you
Yeah, that was the difference. Black people back then, very much, very keen. They were presented with these ideas and this way of life and this integration. And it seemed, it's superior. Yeah, our lives are going to get better. No, their lives got worse.
like to hide in the clouds of make-believe,
They did.
if this works,
Right.
I would love.
People did hide in the clouds of make-believe. Yeah, there was a dark age, and we didn't really start to advance until we started to cast aside religion. I just would like to point that out, that religion was the main force that held back scientific and technological advancement for centuries. So just point that out, this is what you all want to bring back. And you can't separate this, the wheat from the chaff. It can't be done because the wheat and the chaff are entwined. They're part of the same organism. You can't separate them out. I know you think you can, but you can't. And by the way, if all this came from God, how is there chaff? It should all be wheat, right? You can't. I want to cherry pick the Word of God, but isn't it all the Word of God, including the stuff about slavery and stoning, adulterous women to death? No, I don't like those parts. What?
To see you represent these men in a divorce when they get their head bit off by these so-called women that are forced by Sky Daddy to stay in these marriages.
This is really, like, I don't even understand how
you don't understand. I know you have a hard time understanding.
I do. I don't actually even understand how to respond to a lot of this because it's so incoherent, but I'm going to try anyway.
Oh, yeah, see, this...
It's not incoherent at all. This is just more feigned ignorance on his part.
This is just...
He's choosing not to see the very, obvious to me anyway, maybe not obvious to Andrew, But anyway,
so let's start.
This is his always incoherent when he understands. Perhaps you don't understand. That might be what it is, and it's okay to say you don't understand.
Yeah, he's not arguing in good faith. He does understand. He's pretending not to, though. This is purposefully being obtuse.
And I can speak slowly for you.
I don't understand now, but I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why.
Dismissive. I mean,
I'm going to tell you why.
It's okay. When you're losing, just say you're losing, and I can speak for you.
Let me know when I can talk,
slower.
and you gas out.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So here's
typical tactic, but you can work that against these OnlyFans girls.
Talk.
Hey,
Go
listen,
ahead.
you can work that tactic against those OnlyFans girls that you debating 23-year-old ignorant women.
They're smarter than you.
But now
they're smarter than you.
Smarter than him? No, they're not. Oh, wow, that's petty, Andrew. That's petty. That's a very petty response. When Andrew responds in that way, which is obviously false, you know that Greg is getting to him. The truth of the matter is he's right, and Andrew knows he's right. And this is actually addressing a very fair point that Andrew really does only argue against very low-hanging fruit. Coach Greg Adams is not low-hanging fruit. This guy is an intelligent guy. I'll give him kudos. He's doing a pretty good job. And he's doing a better job than Andrew. And that's getting to Andrew. Andrew doesn't like that he just pointed out what is a very obvious fact. I mean, Andrew debates the lowest hanging fruit. He very rarely will debate someone like this guy. Why? Because he's going to get his ass handed to him. And he is getting his ass handed to him. I know a lot of you out there that follow Andrew are coping, and you're just repeating again and again that he somehow won this. You have very low IQ. Okay? You're very low IQ, or you're just lying to yourself. He didn't win anything here. And Coach Greg Adams really just hit on something, and this is how you know he hit on something that Andrew knows is true because of the way Andrew responded. We're smarter than you! Wow, what are you, 12? Well, how immature is this guy?
From a person,
they're always smarter than you.
Yeah, you're sitting across from a person here.
Oh no,
that's looking at a Neanderthal. Say you don't understand something very simple.
Let me know when he gas out.
This
so
is
I
the
can
simplest thing that you can understand.
Okay.
Your go.
Are you sure?
Please.
I can actually do it this time.
Please put me to sleep. Please.
Okay, so
put me to sleep.
Here's why it's incoherent, and there's a bunch of this I don't understand. You keep on saying that these men are going to get divorced, and yet I'm proposing non-state marriages. How are they going to?
I thought Andrew was going to tell us how he's going to implement it. So this seems like a kind of a very low-tier Destiny type tactic. I say I'm going to explain something, and then I don't explain it. And then I act as if I explained it. I mean, you don't have meth to use as an excuse here. Or maybe it's Adderall. I don't know. But whatever the case might be, yeah. I mean, you didn't explain how you were going to implement this stuff. He said he was going to explain how you could do it. He didn't explain.
To get divorced? Well, you can only say then via common law. But again, you have no defense yourself against
these are if scenarios.
I mean, come on,
I don't. Please, you said I was going to debate somebody that's going to come.
Why do you keep filibustering?
This is a scenario.
Give me a real scenario. I let you speak the entire time.
Give me something to speak about.
Okay.
You're giving me
I'm not asking
scenario.
you to speak.
You're trying to invite me to your church.
I'm
not
asking
going to your
you
church.
to
Please
listen.
give me a real scenario.
So Greg Adams is refusing to engage on these hypothetical grounds, and I don't blame him. Andrew isn't addressing things as they are. He's addressing them as they would be or should. So this is like an is-ought. And Coach Greg wants ises, right? All Andrew is bringing to the table is oughts. Some of you out there who love this guy, Andrew, can say I'm being disingenuous, I'm misrepresenting him or something. Where are the ises? He is just bringing oughts. You can't say he's not. He's saying this is how things ought to be, while not explaining how he would make things this way. So Greg is right. So Greg is just wanting to be presented with the is. And how would you make these things the is? Don't just tell me the ought.
Real?
You have to shut up long enough for me to
Come
do
on,
it.
please. I've been here 30 minutes waiting for you to do it.
All right.
Give me a real scenario.
Okay, so what I don't understand here, again, and
He's not going to give you a real scenario, man. Come on.
I'm going to ask again, in your incoherent worldview.
Okay, please.
So label it incoherent, but he doesn't explain why it's incoherent. What do you mean incoherent? What are you talking about? He's giving is. Is incoherent? Oh my God. What are you talking about, Andrew? Well, I guess somebody that lives with their head in the clouds and believes in make-believe and dwells in the realm of idealism, which is just magical thinking, thinks grounded-based descriptors of reality are somehow incoherent. I don't know.
You keep on saying that these men who I propose this to are going to get divorced, but I'm not proposing that they get...
No, the women will get divorced because the state is still there and has the incentives. What Andrew is failing to argue or explain, because he wants to continue to say incoherent, it doesn't make sense, is that in his thought experiment, the church now controls what the state currently does. So that wouldn't be such an easy option for women. So marriages would stay together more because this church would administer marriage, not the state. Again, I'm not arguing that it would even be worse if that happened. I'm not saying good, bad. I'm saying how. How are you going to take that power away from the state? How?
married through the state. The state's the one who does the divorces. So if the only thing you could say...
Technically, it's the women, and the state incentivizes it, and.
is that there's a potential for common law here. But that's something you yourself cannot guard them from by your own admission. The second problem that we have here is that I don't have to stick around for 10 or 15 years because we can look at the numbers right now in religious marriage for what this looks like. And here's what this looks like. If you're a Catholic, you're way less likely to get divorced.
What does that mean, way less likely? First of all, the numbers that we see are not broken down in any kind of grouping, so we don't know what the numbers actually are. So, first marriages, they don't tell you. Don't you find that odd? You only hear about what the... so they don't tell you first marriages. They just tell you what the odds are for a second and third marriage to break up, which is higher than what they tell you for marriage in general. But they don't tell you how long first marriages tend to last, because they don't want you to know that number, and that's hidden. They just give you an overall general descriptor number. So but they're not even using groups. First marriage, only second, third. They don't give you what the first is because first marriages break up actually the most. They last on average less than 10 years, and it's way, way, way higher than 50%. As of 2010, it was 93.4%. Probably higher now. If you get married for the first time in America, you are almost 100% insured to be divorced within 10 years. The very small percentage of people that do make it past the 10-year point, they are a conglomerate, they add up after 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and they use that collective as well as everyone married right now to give you that total 50% divorce number. So they don't give you a focus group when it comes to telling you how long marriages actually last. And he's not giving you a number either. He's saying way less. What's the number? 35% divorce rate, 25%. Doesn't know. And by the way, he's not even a fan of Catholics. He don't like Catholics. He thinks that's not the way. He thinks you need to go Eastern Orthodox, baby. Okay? But even Catholics are way less? What do you consider way less? And what are the actual first marriage numbers? What are the divorce rates for first marriages in Catholicism? We don't know those numbers. We're only going to get a big general number, which is way lower because it's not using any kind of focus group, which is what you have to do to get accurate focused, correct percentages. Anyway, let's continue.
Divorce. And if you're Orthodox, even less likely to get divorced.
No numbers. Okay, yeah, way less likely. That's so specific, Andrew. If you're a professional debater, you should know these numbers.
And it's because of that ecclesiastical structure. You're not ever...
Correlation, causation? I mean, you're saying that's the case. Is that really the case, though? Is that why? Maybe. Okay. Your point? Would that apply to everybody? I mean, this strikes me as very odd. It's like saying that people who go to university, or you've heard this before, that people who go to university or get a bachelor's degree are more likely to make more money. They generally make more money than people that don't go to university. And then people that get this degree, specific degree, are going to make much more money. Yeah, okay. Isn't it also possible that these people would have made just as much money if they didn't get the degree? And it has more to do with their innate level of intelligence and merit and ability than it does the degree. And those people that have more intelligence and innate ability and talent are more likely to go to university and get a useful degree. So it's really not the degree as much as it is the individual who is more likely to avail themselves of the talents that are innate to them, and they'd probably do just as well or nearly as well, or maybe even better if they didn't go to college. Not hard to say, since they do in most cases, especially in America, since it's been made so cheap with so much cheap money and the government throwing money at it. So you could say, well, the people who are more likely to stay married anyway become Eastern Orthodox. I mean, you got to stop making this correlation equals causation. You got to start to break this stuff down a little bit more. You do have to apply some reductivism to this stuff to get down to the granular details and what might actually be going on a fundamental level. Now, is it possible it is the religion? Yeah, sure, okay. And, I mean, it's a very niche group of people at this point. What would be how are you going to implement this on a grand scale? No idea. He has no prescriptors for that. He has no idea the how this would be implemented, let alone the unforeseen consequences. Turn America into a theocratic state? I mean, what the hell would the unseen consequences of that be? All we got to do is look around the world at other theocratic states. They got plenty of them in the Middle East. And it works so good. I don't know. Cousins marrying cousins. I think the majority of Muslims are married to their first cousin. I don't know. Not saying that'd be the case, but you really can't say that, oh, well, X group, marriage is better, so marriage for everybody, better under this scenario. How are you even going to... I don't even know I would make this scenario the general situation in America to begin with, let alone if it would be good in a general sense. You're trying to take a very niche group. It'd be like saying, well, hey, furries have the least divorce rate of anybody. So it's got to be because they're furries. We need to convince everybody to become a furry. I mean, there are a number of factors that could be going on there, yo. Number one, furries are freaks. How likely are you to find another freak who's into being a furry? It's just lack of options, yo. So it could just be lack of options. They can't find another furry. They're freaks. Nobody else wants them. Could it be that makes them stay together with their partner? And not the fact that they're a furry? So he's just making another correlation equals causation argument here. The truth of the matter is, it's just based upon his own personal preferences. Just like the people he argues with, where he says their worldview, their ideology, their morality is just based on personal preference. So is yours!
We're going to be able to prevent all risk from divorce, not under anything.
Thank you, God. That's the most realistic
not
you've
under
said
any,
all day.
But not under any system
Correct.
is that going to be the case.
But why are Catholics getting divorced?
And
How do
they
they get
want
divorced?
They get annulments. They don't even get divorces.
Okay,
and it's
but how does
a really long process, and it's rare.
Christians have a similar divorce rate than the secular.
Well, it wouldn't matter because first of all, Catholics are getting married under the state. There's nobody in America not getting married under the state. You could just make vows to each other. And if 10 years later she says, I'm bored with you, she'd go to a judge and say, hey, judge, we've been living together 10 years. What about alimony, palimony, all this stuff? You've been together this long, living together this long, you made some vows, that qualifies as a marriage. Half is shit. I mean...
No.
So they have a very close. So how do they get divorced?
I'm going to explain.
How do Christians get
Tom,
divorced?
I'll answer your question.
Please tell me, because I know how to get divorced.
So
right into the divorce court.
Yeah, I know. So because they call it a state marriage.
Everything is a state marriage, Andrew. And this fairy tale world that you keep arguing is possible, but don't tell us how you would achieve, doesn't exist. Can you tell us how it will? Otherwise, this is just a playtime thought experiment, while interesting, isn't particularly all that interesting, honestly, to me. I'm more interested in thought experiments that are possible, where we actually get to the hows, the mechanistic process by which you would make this possible, where you would make this probable, where this would be able to be brought about. I don't hear that.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm proposing that they don't do that, right?
Okay, Alanda.
I got to end it right here. But how? How would you implement this? So Andrew just keeps saying the same stuff again and again. My patriarchy, my ecclesiastic, my religion good, my secular bad. Of course, there's no middle ground, any of this. Everything is presented as a false dichotomy. You got this choice or that choice. There's no middle ground. There's no in between. There's no gray. It's just all black and white. You've got the church or not church. Anything secular, that's bad. And anything religious good, or at least my religion good, and secular bad. There's no moderation. There's no middle ground. There's no temperate approach possible, even though my religion itself argues for temperance. Almost as if, that's something that's universal and you don't need a religion to tell you that. But anyway, let's end it there, shall we? Let me know what you thought in the comments. I can't do no more. This guy Andrew's too stupid. I just can't. I can't. It's enough. I'll cover more of this in my next video. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. Hit that notification bell if you like what you see. If you're an Andrew fan, I'm sure I'm going to hear from you. You're wrong, realist, because I say you're wrong, and because I love this guy, and I love what he has to say, and it just feels good to me. The Fifis are so good, and I've been following him for a long time, even though he came out of nowhere, and he hasn't been around that long, but somehow he's worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars by now. Gotta wonder where all that came from. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know what you think. And on that note, I'm out of here. I am the Realist Philosopher, also known as the MGT, philosopher. And I wish you all a good and pleasant day. Take care.